think we've done that. Our conversation with Phil Martell, the superintendent of the Blairsville-Saltsburg School District, brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Wonderful. It's good to talk with you again.
Yes, I look forward to it. It was a pleasure to hear from you yesterday.
Well, you, of course, were really, really helpful to us over the summer, understanding what was going on in the Blairsville-Saltsburg School District as you were the acting superintendent at that time. Now you're back as the full superintendent, if you will, the full-time superintendent for the Blairsville-Saltsburg School District. Let's talk about that, first of all. I know you must be pretty excited to get the position.
I am. It was very hard to want to leave. Just had to work some things out in personal life. But a great school district, great board leadership. I'm excited to be back and great communities. And it's just even in a tough time, people bond together, and I'm finding that. So just playing catch up and we're hitting the ground running for sure.
Well, when we talked in the summertime, there were so many issues left unresolved that needed to be fixed before we could get into the school year. Obviously, those issues were resolved and you've moved forward. There have been stumbles for every school district, but those were expected. Tell me how you think it has gone since we last spoke with you.
I think if you look back really to the spring and then now, I think there's a dramatic difference in, just the adjustments made by the public schools in general, but definitely in Blairsville-Saltsburg. The educational system, the digital education model is working much better. Is it, 110%? No. Do we have a way to go? Yes, because with this, the situation being so fluid now and even the kids being on fully remote, just making sure that we have, everybody has access. Obviously, they have a device, but trying to maintain that internet connectivity and those things. But our teachers are pulled together. The deployment is done quite well. And, this is here to stay, as we've talked before. And it's just we're going to continue to evolve and make sure we can produce the best model we can.
Well, in the springtime, Blairsville-Saltsburg made the decision that there would be mandatory attendance and grades would be kept, and most of the other school districts around the area decided not to be that strict with it. Do you feel that served you well here at the start of this school year, that everybody is on board?
I do. I think it sets expectations, we've really asked students to grow up quickly because really, if you think about it, they're basically going into a college model in a sense. We've asked a tremendous amount from parents, and we need to do more. And one of the things we're emphasizing is, creating more online professional development courses for parents because this is a transition for them and their son or daughter. But setting that bar high, I think they have an understanding of what those expectations are, and then providing them with resources is something we're going to continue to have to do every day.
There are some themes common among all of our school districts at this point of this school year. Of course, conduct inside the school building when school students are in and wearing your mask and keeping physically distant, all of those things. I think everybody's pretty well aware of all of that, and they're doing the job there. Substitute teachers, maybe we hadn't anticipated, or maybe you had, that there would be a problem finding substitute teachers and staffing them properly. How has that gone for Blairsville-Saltsburg? Are they struggling as well?
We are struggling. Honestly, after the 08-09 recession, when really students chose not to go into public ed, we're really kind of seeing that outcome now in a time of national need. And it's very difficult, obviously, if you think about it. It's you're taking these same students are asked, they're taking on a lot of debt and starting out, at a slower end of any teaching salary. It's a lot to absorb. We really kind of need to relook at what we're doing and how we're training professionals educationally, and and be able to try to get them back into the workforce, because the lack of teachers now, and it used to be we would just see traditional areas. We're seeing we're hurting really in core content areas of needing substitute and long-term and full-time teachers, to be quite honest.
Yeah, well, it evidently is going to be a problem here in Western Pennsylvania and for quite some time. And there's a drain on the entire teaching industry because, those struggles exist everywhere. And there's a lot of people that say, a Pennsylvania winter versus, say, a Georgia or a Florida winter, maybe I'll go teach there. There's a lot of competition in that field, isn't there?
It's time for the holidays, a time for joy, a time to share.
The producer, I got to do it myself, and we have Phil Martell back on the line with us here from Blairsville-Saltsburg School District. I was just talking with you about competition for jobs, and really, when you think about it, there are all industry-wide, there probably is a little bit difficult time at this time of the year when it's turning cold in Pennsylvania to compete with some of those warm weather states for teachers.
No question about it, and and like I said, we have to continue to. We really have to have some hard decisions with our our postgraduate institutions, and really, hopefully, with some emphasis on recruitment, and helping. If we want these teachers to come into the workforce, we can't expect them to carry a couple $100,000 debt. Like, we have to talk about solutions there, and hopefully, the new administration in Washington will work with the Department of Ed and figure out how we can recruit and these people can sustain a living, quite frankly, starting out in education.
Absolutely. Working within the Blairsville-Saltsburg School District, every district has its own unique challenges. You are about to face one yourselves as the issue of contraction, if you will, of consolidating school services, and the possibility of closing the Saltsburg schools comes before the public. Public meeting is scheduled next week, as a matter of fact. Give us an update on how you expect those to go and what people can learn from attending through Zoom or whatever format they're using those public meetings.
Sure. We're going to with the emphasis, and I got to give credit to the board and to the solicitor too. They've made a great emphasis on making accessibility to these meetings for input from the community a priority. So they're going to make that available, obviously either in person or through Zoom, depending on any type of mitigation changes by the state, obviously. But really, it's just the district has a opportunity, the board, to decide what they want their district to look like for the future. And my job really, at the end of the day, once the school board makes that decision, is to come up with a plan that provides the best academic opportunities for all students in the Blairsville-Saltsburg School District. So, a lot of districts pre-pandemic, current pandemic, post-pandemic are behind the eight ball, because they're financially strapped. They're not able to do the things that they're able to do. Blairsville has an opportunity now to decide what they want their district to look like, to either maintain the status quo or to reconfigure the secondary the secondary level. And that's really what that discussion has to be. And, you really want that input from all communities and all stakeholders, and look forward to that. But whatever direction that the school board decides with in the community, that my administration, working with the board, will be ready to go.
One of the things about that is it's nothing new to the area. We've seen a lot of school district consolidations, and we understand how emotional it gets on both sides of the issue. And I'm sure that you're prepared for that, but certainly it's understandable that people would get emotional about a topic such as this.
Absolutely. There's a lot of history. My prior superintendency in Connellsville, we had similar situation where we had declining enrollment, and we were fighting for resources, and we consolidated. We closed 4 buildings. This is a little different. They're just talking about reconfiguration of the secondary. But that it is very emotional. But what we have to do is to provide more educational opportunities for students, to show parents what this does, educationally for their son or daughter, and I think that's really, at the end of the day, that's all parents want. They want the best opportunities for their son or daughter to, and to compete and to be able to have those resources. And, while other districts are struggling, the Blairsville-Saltsburg School District could make that decision now instead of being, 4 or 5 years down the road when you're talking about, slashing programs and doing things that, other districts are doing. So I commend them for at least looking at it. Whatever that outcome is, we will deal with it accordingly.
A public meeting, of course, scheduled for next week. School districts have had to be adaptable. They've had to be pretty agile, and you have, as you look at the rest of December, the break for the holiday, and then moving on into January. I know you have to be flexible and change on the dime, but what's the educational plan there in terms of students in school as opposed to students all remote?
We want to obviously try to provide some consistency for our parents, because this is asking a lot of them, obviously, for our younger students, for child care and different things. So we want to give them adapt time and have to make that adjustment. We're out scheduled to be remote till January 11th. Pending on what we're seeing nationally, that could very well, in my opinion, probably extend beyond that. So we'll be prepared either way. and we will give parents and families of our communities enough notice to be able to make adjustments. We will avoid trying to make those last-minute decisions to help them, to help them transition as much as possible.
And athletics does remain a part of that whole discussion, does it not?
It does. The state PIAA came out with some things, obviously for indoor sports. But, this is all, we're expecting another announcement from the administration in Harrisburg, really today or tomorrow, which may just, if they do increase those mitigation efforts, it may just take care of sports and put that on the sideline as well.
Oh, boy. That's not what we want to hear, but whatever.
No doubt about it. We don't want to hear that, but it's just, it's unfortunate. But as this thing continues to head where it's heading, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, what must be done must be done. Phil Martell, thank you so much for visiting with us today. We'll get you back on that regular schedule, and we appreciate so much being able to learn about what's going on in Blairsville-Saltsburg. Thanks for visiting with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, bye now. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160 FM and AM 1160.